big hoo-ha yesterday at Prime Minister's Question Time around Brianna Ghey, the comment that Rishi Sunak made about doing U-turns. In fact, he was aiming at the net zero U-turn, the 28 billion U-turn, and said also about the women's rights, the trans rights stuff, which of course then kicked off majorly and caused a big hoo-ha. Penny Mordaunt, interestingly, has waded in today, hasn't she?
Yeah, this is all a bit of a sort of messy story. It's very difficult to get to the bottom of exactly what went on. So Rishi Sunak made this, perhaps you could say, slightly crass comment about the definition of a woman with Brianna Ghey, the transgender teenager who was murdered. Her mother was sitting in the gallery. Keir Starmer jumped on that immediately and said that it was incredibly insensitive of the Prime Minister. Now, from what I heard, Rishi Sunak was unaware that Brianna Ghey's mother was in the gallery, or hadn't quite taken it in, or something.
She wasn't actually in the gallery
because she was a bit late for PMQs. And perhaps Rishi Sunak was aware of that, not quite clear. But basically, his instinct was to apologise, but he couldn't apologise because Kemi Badenoch doubled down on his position for him, tweeting saying that the Prime Minister had no need to apologise. So Rishi Sunak had no choice really but to follow her lead. Now Penny Mordaunt has made the situation more complicated by saying that the Prime Minister should apologise, and actually going further and saying she said that the Prime Minister was going to apologise. Yeah. Well, he hasn't yet. So is this all just turning into a bit of a mess?
Well, let's have a look at what Penny Mordaunt said earlier.
Whatever the rough and tumble of this place, whatever the pressures and mistakes that are made in the heat of political combat, we owe it to the people who sent us here to strive every day to make them proud of us and this place. The Prime Minister is a good and caring man. I'm sure that he has reflected on things, and I understand he will say something later today, or perhaps even during this session.
It does appear that Penny didn't get the memo, because Rishi went to Cornwall today promoting dentistry. He didn't apologise. He refused to apologise. He was asked multiple times by many media outlets. And many people might say, well, why should he apologise? I mean, the Parliament, the Commons, is the mother of all parliaments, the home of free speech. You should be able to say whatever you like. And the notion of weaponising who's in the gallery to affect what the Prime Minister, or indeed anybody, is allowed to say, that's a dodgy precedent.
Well, that was the argument that some Conservative MPs were making last night. I think actually Jacob Rees-Mogg on GB News was saying that there's a clause in Irks and May which says that politicians shouldn't shouldn't reference people in the public gallery in order to influence political debate. And arguably that is what Keir Starmer was doing. I mean, the other side of the coin is that Brianna Ghey's mother has conducted herself with incredible integrity during the whole of this ordeal, and perhaps it was a bit crass of Rishi Sunak to make that comment. There is precedent for this. Theresa May made some accidentally perhaps insensitive comment once at PMQs, and she did apologise, but it feels now a little bit as though the wind has gone out of the sails, and probably, I might be wrong about this, but by tomorrow it will have blown over.
OK, Olivia, super. Thank you for joining us.